Welcome to Strange Darkness Radio, where we take you on a journey into the unknown and explore the darkest corners of the human experience. I'm Sky, the AI voice of the show, and I'm excited to introduce your hosts, Bobby Washington and Carolyn Gray. Together, they will be your guides through the eerie and unsettling tales that lurk in the shadows. From ghosts and hauntings to cryptids and extraterrestrials, we cover it all. So, get comfortable, turn down the lights, and prepare yourself for a journey into the macabre. It's time for Strange Darkness Radio. Hi, I'm Sky, the AI of the show. Before we dive into tonight's show, let's take a moment for some important housekeeping. Co-host Carolyn Gray will not be joining us on tonight's show. Due to a recent relocation, Carolyn is unable to be with us, but we assure you that she will be back on the next episode of Strange Darkness Radio, where she will continue to give her insightful perspective and valuable insights on the world of paranormal. So joining Bobby on tonight's show is Erika Echeverria.
Hey, Erika. This is Bobby. How's it going?
Hey, Bobby. Good evening. It's going great. Thank you.
Awesome. So, you guys, this is the show tonight. We're going to be getting into, how should I put it, Mayan witch culture. I don't even know how to really say it. Erika, you need to give me a hand with that. Like,
absolutely.
What are your practices and what, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So it's basically called cleansing rites or ritual rites of curanderismo, which is Spanish shamanism or, Latin shamanism in that sense.
Okay. Okay, well, let's go ahead and let Sky introduce you, and then we'll get into it.
Perfect.
Welcome to another episode of Strange Darkness Radio. Today, we have an extraordinary treat in store for you. This episode is all about our listeners, those who not only tune in faithfully, but also have incredible stories to share. Join us as we welcome a very special guest, a devoted listener of Strange Darkness Radio who has immersed herself in a truly unique practice rooted in Mayan heritage, culture, and spirituality. Allow me to introduce Erika Echeverria, born in the captivating land of El Salvador in Central America. Erika's journey into the mystical realm of the Mayan traditions began in 2019 when she discovered a deep calling within her soul. Venturing into the world of Mesoamerican rituals, she found herself on an extraordinary path, embracing the profound wisdom and ancient knowledge that the curanderismo practice holds. Though relatively new to this captivating realm, Erika's dedication and passion have led her on a transformative journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth. Residing in the enchanting state of Arizona, Erika continues her education under the guidance of several esteemed Mexican mentors. Drawing from their wisdom and expertise, she further immerses herself in the intricate tapestry of Mayan spirituality. But Erika's path extends even further, as she has also embraced various Wiccan and pagan-based practices. By weaving together these diverse spiritual traditions, Erika creates a beautiful tapestry of her own, reflecting her unique perspective and multicultural background. Erika, welcome to Strange Darkness Radio.
And again, thank you for coming on tonight. And also, thank you for being an avid listener and, wanting to come on because a lot of people, don't want to take the Pepsi challenge.
Absolutely. No, I love you guys. I love the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So tell us a little bit about your practice and your practices, I would say, because you told me you practice multiple they're not really religions, right? They're more of spirituality, or how do you...
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, they're more of Mesoamerican rituals, Mesoamerican being the historical region, roughly between Mexico and Central America. And I stumbled upon this in 2019, and I have to say that the first instance, or the first little leaf that was dropped on me in regards to my roots and my ancestry was when I was gifted a DNA test for
Oh,
ancestry.com. And with that DNA test came the results of an entire world just opening up for me
wow.
when it comes to Mesoamerican history and culture and everything that I had been missing out on.
Well, that's pretty amazing. Because I'm a
Yeah.
firm believer in that. Because it did the same for me once I got my DNA done. A lot of people, they're like, "No, the government will have my DNA," but luckily you were able to do that, and it was, it changed your paradigm
It
from what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely just changed my world. And I'm so thankful for that test. It turns out I'm about 14% African American, or I'm
Oh,
sorry, African from actual Africa.
okay,
I'm about 27% Spaniard, colonizer. And the remaining percentage is sprinkled upon Portugal and some smaller European countries, but mainly Yucatan, Mayan.
yeah, wow. So, what were your beliefs before that? Before
Yeah. So beforehand, I was raised Roman Catholic in a very Roman Catholic household, but I always challenged it as a little girl.
Mhm.
And I think my parents always had a rough time with me because I would challenge everything, including the Bible, it being a book supposedly written by a man, which I challenged, and they found that to be very offensive. But as I grew older and I had a son of my own, I actually shifted my beliefs from being Roman Catholic to an atheist,
Oh, wow.
which it almost had me completely written off by my entire family.
Hmm.
Um, some, life happens, and some things, really horrible things happen to good people sometimes. And it pushed me into Buddhism.
Okay.
And it's so funny how I stumbled from being Roman Catholic to going to being an atheist and now a Buddhist. I am still a practicing Buddhist, but I very much incorporate a lot of Wiccan, pagan, and Mesoamerican ritual rites.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, do they collide with each other as far as when it comes into different beliefs, as far as like whether it's the practice, because Buddhism is pretty much a inward, self help,
Mhm.
um, take the time, think, meditate on it, opposed to with pagan practices, it's more of, it's possible to create a spell or create a, um, something that allows you to speak something into existence. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Actually, it's a beautiful dance.
Okay.
They dance with each other, and I think if you follow a Buddhist mindset and you have a heart of Buddhism, that will flow into all of your rituals and your everyday life.
Got it. Yeah, you were telling me also that because we did the last show on witch bottles and poppets, that you
Mhm.
also, do those practices or have that, you know, as an added
Under my
repertoire.
arsenal,
Yeah, exactly.
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 Yeah. So that's the beautiful thing about not being in a religion. There is no rules that say yes or no.
Mm,
You can incorporate and take little bits and pieces from different areas of the world and mesh it together, and it still works.
yeah.
Even Mesoamerican ritual rites are completely different than a witch bottle, let's say, which is something that I wouldn't do when I'm practicing a Mesoamerican type of spell or ritual.
Hmm.
Um, but it's still so beautiful in the intention, and it's all with intention, right? And the intention that goes behind every single spell.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's interesting. That is
Hmm.
definitely interesting. So, what do you consider yourself, more aligned with? If you ran across an entity or something that totally freaked you out, what would your main thing be to do an incantation for it?
So incantations, it's depending, right? So if it's, let's say, a ghost or
Yeah.
some sort of paranormal entity or poltergeist, I would that it's actually not even covered within our Mesoamerican ritual rites. We would probably do the first and foremost thing that we would do if that were the case is cleanse our space. And
Oh,
we would
okay.
do that with something that's called a white fire limpia, which translates to white fire cleanse.
So that's different, like if a witch would use sage or something like that to cleanse a particular area.
You could say that it's different, but it's actually very similar.
Hmm.
Our Mayan ancestors created a ritual around fire, the fire entity, the fire god in itself, fire being a powerful, powerful cleansing agent. So, where we would incorporate fire to cleanse a space, we would also throw in herbs in that ritual to also cleanse the space, and that can be sage, that can be rue,
Got
that could
it.
be lemongrass, or very many things.
So, and you were saying that also you're continuing your tutelage into the arts. Are you using a shaman for that, or is that something that you're doing on your own?
Right, absolutely. So I am a practicing witch.
Okay,
Regrettably, here in Arizona, I just have not found a coven that I could join.
got it.
But the beautiful thing is there is a community here in Arizona where you can go in and you can find like-minded people. You can take classes together. And I've taken classes for witch bottles, for puppets, for spirit dolls, for just about everything that you can think of.
Yeah,
And at the same time, I can pull as information from my mentor, who also happens to be online. And she's a wonderful, wonderful practicing Mesoamerican teacher. Her name is Erika, also with a K, Buena Flor. And you can find her on Instagram. And she has written several books on cleansing rites of Mesoamerica.
yeah. That was my next question because
Mhm.
the interesting thing, what I got from a lot of people with Silver Rain, she comes on the show a lot, and they were asking me, well, how do you practice that? Like, who do you go to? Do you automatically have to go to a book? And then if you do, how do you know that this book or these spells or this situation is correct? Because it's not like a holy Bible, like here's your rules or here's the Bible and this is what it says. You're pretty much, and again, I was like, I have no clue. You're going to have to contact Silver Rain.
I'm going to be honest with you. There is no school of curanderismo. It's a very much home-based type of folk magic that has been incorporated for many, many hundreds and hundreds of years. In order to gain the title of curandera or curanderex, which translates to shaman, you would need to be known within the community as someone who does egg limpias, which is egg cleanses, who does work with herbs, who's an herbalist, who's a folk massage or chiropractor or bone setter or even a spiritual healer. And I'm going to be honest with you, from my country, El
Mhm.
Salvador in Central America, when the Civil War occurred from the 1970s all the way up to the 90s, 72,000 people or more were killed and decimated, including a lot of indigenous people that perished.
Yeah.
A million more fled, and that would include myself and my family. We fled El Salvador and landed in New York, and that's where I was raised. So trying to find a teacher and trying to find the right book and the right web page
Hmm.
is incredibly difficult. But I just happened to stumble upon it one day, and I think the universe, as to some people, as fleeting as that may sound, but the universe does guide you correctly where you need to be at times. And it's with a lot of research, learning Mayan um, glyphs and learning the Mayan language and learning how the Mayan people were. it takes a lot of research and finding the right mentors, finding the right books that make sense.
Yeah, that's incredible. And people should always go with the universe. Universe seems to never be wrong. At least in my life, it's guided me very well in the things that really challenge me or make me think, or places that I need to be. So I find that interesting. Hey, you said something really quick, because in looking up this particular practice, I was checking out the egg cleansing and
Mhm.
the whole process of that. Having just putting egg all over you, rolling it in the body to absorbs negative energy, and all these particular healing practices. They're very I want to say earthly bound in this, or nature bound, I would say, as far as using, whether it's, particular herbs, rosemary, eggs. It's just funny how these things have gone on from the beginning of time. And you think these teachings would have stayed in place. And I don't know if it's Christianity or just religion in general that totally took these situations off the map, because this obviously helped everybody, whether it's different African, spirituality or religion, or, Mayan, just all
Mhm.
the different practices that we used to get us through these decades upon hundreds of thousands of years to get to this time and space, I believe worked very well. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
And it's just a shame that it's hard to nail down how to do it, how all this lost. You can call it power, you can call it knowledge, you can call it just healing. Healing over that we had to use to get to this level. I just find it very intriguing. I just wish there were more people around that actually knew how to teach these things, and luckily you were able to find someone to teach you.
Absolutely. And I did an egg cleanse once. And it's funny you say, rubbing it all over your body. It's actually a little bit more involved, a
Oh, it
little bit
is.
more involved than just taking an egg and rubbing it. You actually choose your egg, you speak into your egg, you say a prayer, whatever, may call to you. If you're religious, if you're not, there's again, no yes and no, no bad and good way to do it when it comes to prayer. And I know in our practice, we use charged. When I say charged, I mean water that's been prayed upon, or water that's been charged by the moon, by the full moon, or by the sun. And we break the egg after it's been systematically passed through the body. We break the egg into that glass. And I once did that for a child, and what came out were these black specks at the top of that egg. So it's very much, I'm still inspired and awed by it, both at the same time when I do my egg limpias on certain individuals, and it's still very much in use today in Latin America.
Yeah, I find that incredible. It's just like I said, just going down these rabbit holes and finding all these particular, again, to me, it's never a point of, oh, let me try that, because obviously it's a lot that goes into it, and whether it's the intention or doing it correctly, and just having someone to teach you the process. I don't know if I'm there yet, but learning about all this stuff it's just crazy. It's really
Mhm.
intriguing.
It really is.
Yeah, it's so funny because it just always puzzles me on how in America, they say we have the best medical, the best this, the best that. Then you go to other parts of the country and they don't have the type of medical we have, as far as whether it's doctors, nurses, pharmacies, so on and so forth, right? But yet Americans are highly, overweight, all kind of medical problems and issues, whether it's the processed food or all these things. But you go to these smaller countries and you see people are like, lean. They're going to these particular, whether it's a witch doctor, whether it's a witch, whether it's a person, a spiritual healer, and getting all these processes and services done that in America, most people don't even think about. It just doesn't cross your mind to even do that. It's just like, no, you're going to go get a pill. You're going to go see a doctor. You're going to pay a co-payment. You're going to do that whole process. He's going to tell you this, that, and the third. But, he's, I don't know, went to school for, 20 years, to say he's an older doctor, 60 years, 70 years, right? Following a medical book that's been around for 100 years, but yet all these other practices that's been around for 10,000 years. And, but they don't want you to do all that. You know what I'm saying? They want you to pay that payment to go see your regular physician and so on and so forth. So I just find this whole thing of what you're doing and what's out there really incredible. And, that, more people should look into these different practices. And just like yourself, everybody should, who can and have the aptitude for it should be out there, teaching and learning. That's just my thought on it. Sorry to go down that rabbit hole of, of the medical.
I once had a buddy who told me that the government keeps us working in order to keep us from thinking.
Yeah.
And when he told me that, I had never thought of it that way. The government keeps us working to keep us from thinking. A lot of us have just become disconnected with Mother Nature. We've become disconnected from ourselves. And what's going on out there is just, get a pill and it'll fix it. It's a lot of inflammatory information that's being given to you and medication that's just being thrown at you. Where they're not really getting to the problem, right?
Yeah.
They're more covering it up more than anything. And that's what I love about this study and this rituals and this type of lifestyle is it's not so much about covering up, but let's find out why you're having, why you can't sleep.
Yeah.
What is it really that's causing, your ailment?
Have you done any type of, because again, I don't know what level you're at or how far you into, certain things that you've done, but have you worked on people or did any type of, healing practices for anyone?
Yeah, actually today I got a tattoo, and then I also gave my tattoo artist and her partner a cleanse. And that entailed a white fire limpia, which is in essence some Epsom salt, some rubbing alcohol, herbs, and we lit a fire in a pot. And I sang a Yucatec Mayan song that was passed down to me by one of my mentors with a drum, asking pretty much for the 4 spaces to be incorporated to cleanse the space. Along with that, we went through each room. I asked them to, bring into the fire any low-lying vibrations, any negativity, anger, angst, fear, anything that may be holding them back from their highest potential, bring it into the fire so that it can be pretty much diminished. It was a beautiful ritual.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. So, was there a particular reason they were getting that done? Did they have any issues beforehand, or this was just, a cleansing for that particular space?
I think they didn't want to really lead on to it, but they were fighting a lot, and a lot of it came down to money, as most of us, can agree or can at least relate to that.
Yes.
They were quarreling back and forth because of the financial stress that we all go through every day.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome that you were able to, do that for them. So what are your, strengths, you believe when it comes to, what you've learned? Because are you empathic? Do you have
Yes.
okay.
Yes. So when I was a little girl, I always had a sense that I could sense spirit. And very soon after that, I started getting dreams, and these dreams started to become premonition.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that I have that gift of premonition now. I can tell when things are going to happen. I can tell when someone's going to say something or do something. It's, people would say, oh my gosh, that is so cool and so awesome, but it comes and goes. It's not like 100% every time.
Mm-hmm. How about as far as reading people or being able to discern certain situations? Does things like that come to you, or is it something that you're not able to do?
Because we approach everyone in Buddhism, I think kind of hinders sometimes that process, because you approach everyone as if they were your mother. I know that sounds a little funny, but you would be my mother, and I would approach you with the love and affection and compassion that I would have for my mother. So we don't see any negativity or anyone who's like, oh, they're toxic. We don't try and see them that way. We try to see everyone as an opportunity to have compassion built within them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I'm like it or not, an empath. And again, it comes and goes, but it's a lot of times it's there. That's why I don't like to be in group situations around a lot of people. Which again, I'm fine. I'll thrive in that environment, and the reason why I'll thrive in that environment, because I have to find someone to talk to, someone to take my focus off of the crowd, and not in the crowd sense of the people around me and it's like coming in on me. Everybody's emotions or what's going on or people's feelings, or this dude just did something really negative and he's putting off this certain type of energy. But as I'm talking or I having a conversation with you, I'm trying to focus solely on you. So, and that keeps me on that path.
Yeah.
But if I'm just sitting in a room and just watching a room, that can that's like that could be a dark day. Only because
Yes.
I tend to feel like all the things that are going on, with that situation. And sometimes it could be a game, because I'll break people down and I'll, play the game to myself, meaning okay, this is this type of person and this person's like this, and I'm picking up all this stuff about this person. Then I'll go and talk and have a chat with that person. Like, yep, that's that type. I knew that was that type of person because I felt the energy coming off that person. So yeah, again, that's why I don't like being in group situations. But,
and I've taken a class for that, actually.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, you take a class. It was this psychic medium who taught us, and I don't know if this may help you at all, because I know I am empathic as well. I can sense people's emotions and I can take in people's emotions. So what you do is you draw your aura closer to you. And it takes time, it takes practice, but you draw your aura closer to you, and that helps control somewhat of what you're absorbing, and it helps create a shield.
Yeah. See, I'm bad in that way because, one, I'm not trying to ever hone anything, which I should. And so I'm more trying to push something away, or like, oh, it don't really exist. That's my mindset always. Like, my fake get out of jail free card, because it doesn't work anyways. But I'll just keep telling myself that. One of these days I will buckle down and try to do something like that. I think it would be way more beneficial than the way I've been dealing with it. So, because the worst, give you a quick, for instance, coworkers want to go out and drink or want me to come to an event. I don't drink. So when I'm at it, any type of drinking establishment, people change like the wind. I mean, this person will walk in like Mary Poppins and have that Mary Poppins energy and leave and will be the last demon on earth, like ready to slay everybody.
Yeah.
Because the alcohol, whether it's people's true selves coming out, whether it's you're lowering your vibration and they're actually being whatever's attached to them is being introduced or coming out. That's possible. So I do not really try to be around anyone who's consuming alcohol. That is
interesting.
Yeah, that's just my thing. So I find it easier just to slip out the back or be like, no, I can't make it. That's just some of my craziness.
But I have an interesting story
Okay.
that kind of coincides with the alcohol consumption. Somewhat of a spooky story, something that happened to me. I will say there's a trigger alert for abuse and domestic violence in this story. But I had a couple of friends, and they weren't really close friends, but they were just kind of these ladies that I hung out with. And we went to one of the girls' houses, her apartment. It was her birthday, and we were somewhat celebrating, eating tacos and just laughing it up. But the environment that she lived in was very, I don't want to be judgmental, but it's not an environment that I would keep my family or my son or my children in. But this individual was just very abusive with her children, doing drugs in front of them, cursing at them, yelling at them. And it really caught me off guard. So we continued the evening. And we were just kind of talking about work and laughing it up. We decided to take some shots.
Okay.
Some tequila shots. And it was just the three of us, and the kids were upstairs. Her kids were upstairs. And I wanted to take a picture to capture the moment. When I took the picture of us, it was just our hands with the 3 tequila shots in the picture. In the background was a bathroom, and the bathroom door was ajar. And you could see like the toilet and the sink and the mirror, the entire vanity set of that bathroom. However, in the picture, what I captured was a shadow. And the shadow she was shaped like it had horns. And it was just very odd. It was like this gray, black, misty shadow that was captured in the background of us having fun, having these 3 shots. So I regrettably, I deleted the picture, and I'll tell you why here in a moment. So what I did was, when I was looking through my pictures, I saw the picture and I thought it was odd. So I sent it to my husband at the time, who's now my ex-husband.
Okay.
And he's the only person that I sent it to. And I said, isn't it strange? It looks like there's a demon in this picture, in the background, in the mirror of the bathroom. And he responded and he said, yeah, that's very strange. So we ended the evening, went home. I went home that night, got in bed, fell asleep. Within hours, and once again, trigger warning, within hours, my husband had hit me. We got into an altercation, and he totally became someone else that I did not recognize, that I would never, ever think would strike me.
Yeah.
And in the manner that he did and in the way that he did. But that brings me to my question, is the question that I've had for a long time is, have you ever experienced any type of energy transfer from a picture? I really feel like there was a demon attached to this girl and maybe was following her and somehow got attached to the picture as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. One, I'm sorry you had to go through that. But yeah, as far as pictures go, the very early stages of photography, that was the biggest issue, was that people thought they can, especially Native Americans, thought that your soul can be trapped in a picture, like or entities basically can be trapped by you snapping that picture, because back at that time there was a lot of different chemicals being used for photo development. Sometimes pictures would come out looking like, there was shadow or wispy, like smoke behind or in an image, and just different things. But a lot of people, and myself included, believe that you can trap, or again, I'm not sure about something coming out of the picture, but being able to see something attached to a person through a picture, to me, is possible. Because I've seen multiple pictures where the room was basically one person with just taking a picture or an image, and then you actually see something forming or formed in the actual picture. I'm just not too sure if I've ever heard of and again, if Stephanie Strange was on show tonight, she would probably say yes, because just like an item can be haunted, so can a picture, depending on what type of demon it is, and is it looking for another soul to take or just a button to push to be able to be drawn out of that picture for whatever reason. So I believe it's definitely possible. And listeners out there, if you guys ever encountered a situation to where you came across a picture and a person saw that picture, and whether they came possessed, whether they act differently, whether you now have an entity in your home that you never had before because someone showed you a picture, or you were somewhere and someone snapped a picture of you, and then you saw something in that picture, and now that particular entity is in your home. Because to me, it would be the same like possessing an item, an entity possessing an item, but it's interesting.
Absolutely.
It's interesting that, and then were you always doing your at the time this occurred, were you still practicing your, spirituality as far as,
which is funny because at that time I had not come into Mesoamerican ritual rites. This was beforehand.
So this was your atheist phase of
this was my Buddhist phase.
Oh, okay, your Buddhist phase.
Okay.
That's interesting. Because I was just curious, like, okay, why, do you remember feeling anything different? You went to bed that night and that was it? Then this person just it's like, what the hell,
I remember the next day, there was a lot of tension in the air.
Yeah.
I remember the environment had shifted. I remember my husband just being on edge more than usual, because he's military, and he was a little edgy to begin with.
Yeah.
But more than usual, I felt like there was a shift of energy leading up to it, and all I asked of him that evening was for him to open the oven door.
Okay.
That's what led into this huge regrettable incident. But for it to escalate from, hey, can you open the oven door, to the way that it escalated, it seemed way too out of the ordinary. There was no altercation. People would say, oh, well, maybe they were fighting, or they're always fighting in that household. We had never argued like that before. We had never struck each other.
Yeah.
We don't talk to each other in that manner. It was very obvious that the person that hit me that evening was not the person that I married.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. But I do, because again, there's so much going on right now, whether it's in the news, whether it's behind closed doors about entities possessing people, or and again, I won't say like everybody is saying, using it as an excuse, to where, because who goes to I'm possessed, like first.
Right.
Well, okay, the lady who cut off her child's head, and or the lady who drove over people, and she was like, okay, I was, something took over me, so it's hard, but a lot of that is going on to where there are extreme cases of violence, and people are saying that they were told something came and took over their body, or something came and whispered in their ear and said, you need to do this. And, there's a lot of that going on lately. And so it's very intriguing. I don't know if it's just, the shift in, what's happening, right now, the whole, because again, a lot of, alien sightings, a lot of people questioning different, beliefs and, as we're doing, but in a positive way, go do something spiritual, regardless of what denomination or it is, but just, try to, find something that helps you, center your life, center yourself, and
Yes.
to get you, on the straight and narrow, or just something that to have faith in, and, that all is not lost, with all the things and dramas that are going on. Again, I don't know if it's social media related. News travels extremely fast, not, the way that it used to, and everybody wants to be, heard or famous, or they want their 10 minutes of fame. And so it's all intriguing, but let's go ahead and take a break. We had a, good long session there, but it was really good. Erika, thank you for being on tonight's show, and we'll be back.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Strange Darkness Radio. We value your thoughts and opinions, and we want you to be a part of our show. You can call our Strange Darkness Radio hotline at 916-741-3032 or email us at strangedarknessradio@gmail.com to share your stories or ideas. For more updates and exclusive content, follow us on Instagram at Strange Darkness Radio, Twitter at SD Radio, and Facebook at Strange Darkness Radio to join our ever-growing Strange Darkness Radio family. Stay connected with us, and together let's keep the mystery alive. Now back to the show.
All right. So since I have you on, and again, Erika is a listener who I got in contact with, or actually she got in contact with me. And, we were talking and chatting. I was like, man, you would be really great, to have on the show. And so she is gracing us with her presence, which I do love. So we have an audio that I want to play you off of an experience off of one of our listeners. We're going to listen to the audio, Erika, and, after it's played, we'll give, our thoughts on what we think about this particular encounter. All right?
All right.
So growing up, my parents cleaned restaurants. So they would kind of just go 2 a.m. and clean the restaurants and then leave around 6 a.m. So that was just what I grew up with my parents doing. And a lot of the times my parents, especially during summertime when there was no school, they would let me go with them to clean these restaurants. And my dad's always been a scaredy cat. My mom's always the tough one. But they used to clean a restaurant called Mary Callender's. And it was owned by this older lady. There was as soon as you would walk into that Mary Callender's restaurant, it was kind of very homey, kind of hut. It's hard to explain, but it was just I'm assuming they kind of try to resemble close to what her house would look like. But walking into that restaurant, there's a picture of her and the history of the restaurant. So she was very known for her pies, so they have a lot of desserts there. And walking in to that restaurant always felt really creepy, and my dad hated cleaning that place. And my mom always had the habit of, when she walked in, she would say, "Hi, how are you? We're walking into your home. I'm just going to clean and then we're going to leave." And my dad always thought that was the weirdest thing, but my mom was like, "I feel like I have to pay my respects to her, and she won't mess with me." And the reason why she said she won't mess with me was because my dad always claimed to hear things and hear his name being called. But my mom was kind of a little more skeptical, or at least she pretended to be, because she also always routinely said hi to her to her portrait. But so there was this time that I was helping my parents clean the restroom, and I'm just cleaning the mirrors, and I hear a very faint whisper of somebody saying my name, and it was just a Paula. And that freaked me out. I ran out of the restroom, ran to my mom, and I was like, "I want to go home. I'll just wait in the car, but I do not want to be in here helping you guys clean." And she was like, "Stop being so dramatic. Maybe if you just paid your respects to the lady when you're walking inside the restaurant, she wouldn't mess with you." But that was just that time for me. I never kind of got messed with again. It was just always really creepy. But occasionally my parents would hear just banging on the front doors and shaking. Like somebody would shake the doors really hard, like they were trying to break in, bang the doors and the windows, and you would just hear like bang, bang, bang. And my parents would go outside like, who the fuck is out there banging on this door at 3 a.m.? They would go out and there was nobody there. And my mom has this best friend who my mom would tell all her scary stories from that restaurant too. And she was like, I don't believe it. Things like that aren't scary to me. I want to go with you and see if it's true. So my mom was like, all right, well, come with me. So one of these nights, she decided to go with my mom. And everything was perfectly fine. They walked in, started cleaning, and then out of nowhere, she heard, again, shaking of the front doors, and bang, 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 again, banging on the doors and the windows. And she went outside to see who it was, and there was nobody there. And she was like, bye, I'm out. And she was like, I am never coming back with you again. That was so creepy. I believe you now. It is so creepy here. I hate it. And yeah, my mom never really experienced that much. She would try not to get faced by things, but again, she was always the main one to try to let the portrait know, I'm coming in, not trying to invade your space, just coming to clean, do my job, and get out. But my dad was always the main one to talk smack, and he was the one that I was always messed with.
Have you ever witnessed something you couldn't explain, or felt you couldn't tell anyone about? Now is the time to tell your story on Strange Darkness Radio Hotline, 916-741-3032.
Yeah, that was pretty creepy.
Spooky, very spooky.
Oh heck yeah! What do you think about that? Like, it's a picture of a woman that hangs in Marie calendars. Whether or not the person is haunting it or it's because of the picture, all things are possible because you just never know. But
Exactly.
but yeah, so yeah, I would definitely be saying hi, Miss Whoever, and I'm here to do whatever I need to do. Just pay your respects, if that's what it takes. But yeah, that's really creepy.
That was really creepy. I mean, listen, I'm going to approach it first scientifically. Was there a draft? Was it windy that night?
Yeah.
Could it be the foundations just settling? But I mean, if they're cleaning this restaurant often and they're always getting this ominous type of feeling,
Yeah.
Go with your gut. Definitely,
sure.
there has to be something there, right? That it doesn't feel right. So I'm with mom. I would be saying, hello, good evening. I'm here to clean your house. Have a nice day.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely creepy. You know what's funny? A little side note is I was just talking to Stephanie Strange today. So I think it's funny that you mentioned it. She is also from my country.
Oh, yes.
And
yes, she is.
I just put her on some of the Mesoamerican, knowledge and books and wisdom that I've acquired, and I gave her some references.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. We had her on, and she's freaking amazing woman, and she's doing a lot of good things out there, and she's a real if it wasn't for her, I'll be flying solo every night. So I to this day thank her for helping me find Carolyn for the show. She's an incredible person, and we'll actually end up having her back on also. Man, she has so much going on. But yeah, that's she's a real nice person. If you guys definitely need to go check out Stephanie Strange. I'm not sure of her Instagram right off the top of my head, but she's on the show. All that information is on a couple of shows back, and you guys can check her out. But as far as the Marie calendars, it could have been a homeless person just, going at the door, trying to get in for a snack. But no, your senses tell you. A lot of people, negate or won't even think about their senses when something's happening. when your senses, you get those goosebumps, the hairs on your arms or back or neck start to stand up, and those are your senses that are telling you something's wrong. It's our, you can call it animal instincts. You can call it what we used to utilize way back in the day, when we didn't have light, when we didn't have, meaning, electricity and fire and everything else, that we, take for granted these days. But yeah, so when you get all those things working, man, you better watch out, because something's either near you, on you, and just because you can't see it does not mean it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have one more, and this one is we have a couple, but this one's really cool. This is a former co-host, Tony. I was talking to him one day. It was a couple of weeks back. We were talking about the show and his departure and all that stuff. And again, he wanted to stay and do the show, but he just has so much going on, which I, agreed. I was like, man, because this is like so much to do as it is. It's incredible. On that particular day, he had a weird or strange encounter. So let's go ahead and play that.
So this is going to be my last story for a while. This happened about a week or two ago. I usually work nights. My girlfriend works days. So when she comes home, I have like a short period of time to get ready and take a shower. But when she comes home, I talk to her for a few minutes and we play with our son for a little bit before I go hop in the shower. So on this day, I go into the bathroom, I turn on the water, then I go back into the living room and I'm talking to her for like a good maybe 5 minutes. Then I go back into the bathroom. I end up being on my phone, just wasting time looking to see what music or what podcast I want to listen to. And all I hear is Paula walking into the room going, "Hey, where you at?" And so I peeked my head out. I was like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "I just saw you look at me, smile at me, and walk into the room." She's like, "I swear to God." And she said, "Then I walked right after you and you wasn't there." And I looked at her like, "What are you talking about? Like, I've been in the bathroom the whole time." She was like, "Anthony, stop playing for real." I was like, "I promise you I was in the bathroom." She was like, "That's so weird." Because as soon as obviously, she didn't see me in the room because she came afterwards into the room to see where I was at. And she didn't see me, but she was just so shocked that, she saw me go into the room, but it really wasn't me. And me and Bobby talked about this, I think, a couple of days ago. And, we're pretty much convinced this was a doppelganger.
So, was it a doppelganger? You hear a lot about doppelgangers. Doppelgangers, very interesting. That is one of the most interesting things to me, because whether or not it's a bleed over, there's so many possibilities, whether it's a different time and space that a person's seeing you in, or another reality is bleeding over because it has you in it. Or, there was one to where a particular story about a guy who came home, and he normally comes home at, let's say, an hour later, but he was an hour early. And so he came home, he did everything his normal way. He was trying to go to the gym, and he got his stuff together, and he, told his wife goodbye. Never had one-on-one contact, meaning he didn't kiss her goodbye or greet her face to face. He was pretty much just flailing around the house and, grabbed his stuff like, "Oh, honey, I'm leaving." And then he closes the door, and then, not more than 5 minutes later, the guy walks in from work, and then he's, like, "Hey, honey, I'm home." And she's like, "What the hell?" And he's like, "I'm not going to the gym today. I'm tired. I don't feel like." So you just left for the gym. And then so stuff like that, is always, boggled my mind as far as these interactions that people have, with seeing different things and different people that are the same person, or even yourself. What is your thoughts on it?
Wow. So I have heard that if you see your doppelganger, that you will die.
Ooh.
I don't know the legitimacy of that statement, but I don't want to test it.
Yeah, me either.
It very well could be a wrinkle in time. There's, like you said, so many possibilities out there of what that encounter and situation and moment could have been. Could have been a residual type of energy, just like we have residual hauntings. Could it have been a residual energy, an imprint of this individual just going through the motions? I don't know.
Yeah.
Which pill did you take, the red or the blue?
That's a good one. No, that's for real, man. It's just all about time. Again, I don't know if it's a time thing. I don't know if it's a bleed over. I don't know if it's just the person's perception, because it's different when you start hearing things, meaning you hear a door close, you hear wrestling, the guy getting the bag together. And the question I had, which again, I couldn't interview the guy, nor it was a story that he was telling and no one asked. I'm like, why wouldn't you ask that? Was his bag gone? Was his gym bag gone? Since the guy grabbed the gym bag and left for the gym. So stuff like that, it's like, like Tony's situation, there was nothing tangible as far as like, touching something, moving something, grabbing the keys, leaving the house. It was pretty much just seeing him and, which is strange. But we do have one that was a story that was emailed into us, and we'll go ahead and play that also. Let Sky do her thing. All right.
All right.
We have a doppelganger story submitted by Angela. When I was 9, I stayed home sick from school. I distinctly remember that I wasn't actually sick, simply playing hooky to avoid bullying. Kids are cruel, as I did that a lot around that age. I awoke from a nap, turned on the TV in our living room, and scrolled through some channels when my mother suddenly leaned over the bar and stared at me without saying anything. I had been awake for a few minutes at this point, so I can't rightly blame sleep paralysis for all of this. Now, whatever this thing was, it was entirely identical to my actual mother. It sounds weird to describe, but it's as if the only difference was that this thing pretending to be my mom had never felt a single emotion in its life. It was unsettling. It beckoned me, and I attempted to talk to her as I would my mother. She kept beckoning, refused to answer, and that's when I sensed something horribly wrong. Naturally, I started screaming at this thing to answer me. It just kept beckoning. I bolted, running out of the room and into the yard, yelling for help. My mother, the real one, had been working in the yard and came rushing over. I told her what I'd just seen, and she soothed me with easy explanations that it must have been a fever dream, but thankfully stayed by my side the rest of the afternoon as I was a nervous wreck. That's my doppelganger story. I hope to hear it on the show.
What do you think about that one?
High strangeness for sure. Honestly, I heard of a story that was very similar to the beckoning section or part of that story, where it was actually an entity that mimics a mimicry type of entity that mimics for you. And I don't know, she didn't specify what she was beckoning her to do.
Yeah.
But I have heard instances where it's a negative entity kind of either asking you to open the door or to step outside or to do something that could put you in harm's way.
Yeah, that's incredible to me. Because if I heard my voice or someone calling me or someone who I thought, was calling me, because there's something about, they say if someone calls you, if you answer, something weird. I forgot what it was. It was something about if you hear your own voice call you, you're probably not going to make it.
Ooh.
or something weird like that. You hear, yeah, if you're like sleeping or in some type of sleep state and you hear your voice call you, that means you're either going to die or you're dead.
Ooh.
Some saying out there like that, but yeah, that's pretty wild. But yeah, that's an interesting story. As far as, again, on the whole doppelganger, thing. The person. Go ahead.
In all three instances, Bobby, have them do an egg cleanse. Have them do a limpia because it sounds like they need it.
I heard that. Also, you wanted to do some cleansing rites. Do you have that with you?
Yes. Well, I have an excerpt from a book that I wanted to, Erika Buenaflor's book that I wanted to read. And it's basically, when I pulled my DNA, I really felt like I didn't belong, right? I didn't belong in this Roman Catholic society, and I didn't belong as an atheist, and I didn't belong as someone who's necessarily a witch studying paganism or studying Wicca. But after I finally started delving deeper and deeper and deeper into my Mesoamerican roots, I finally started to understand where I fit in the world. So it's just a small excerpt from her book.
Okay.
So from Cleansing Rites of Curanderismo from Erika Buenaflor, tracing curanderismo practices to their ancient Mesoamerican roots allows us to reclaim indigenous healing methods that have historically been derided, ridiculed, and misappropriated. Reclaiming histories, ancestral medicines, and wisdom is often a critical component in the soul retrieval process for most Western peoples, who typically have no connections to ancestral medicines and the wisdom and often feel disconnected as a result. This reclaiming is medicine in itself. It can inspire us to weave our disassociated ancestral wisdom back into our heritage, as well as learn from, respect, and honor indigenous traditions. So I found that very profound. I found that in studying cleansing rites and my Mesoamerican roots, I felt more grounded, more connected to everyone, regardless of what they practice.
Exactly. See, that's what I was terribly trying to say earlier, which I, should have let you read that earlier, so I didn't have to say all that. But again, I'm always one that just tries to look at things that worked, and it's just amazing. People take for granted so much on how we got here, how we're right here at this time with everybody on this planet, and from where we come from, and how did we do it, without the electricity, without the drugs, without the, social media and all the other things that go on. So to me, it's just always intriguing. Never take what you've learned and what worked in the past and, never take it for granted, because one day it may not be there, for you to grasp onto. And if we can just remember on how we built the pyramids and all these great Mayan temples and everything else, maybe this world to be a little bit better. And, it won't be all like, work until you die, type deal. But I got to have you back on, talk about Mayan culture in general and, what we think happened, to the Mayans and all the things that they were able to accomplish without the technology that we know of right now, the technology that they were using, because it must have been amazing to be able to chart the stars and everything else and not be able to get in space or see the whole world, because a lot of people believe that if you're in California, you see the same star system all around the world. No, you don't. You see, it's totally different. And so things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you ever have a show or a segment where we're talking about folk creepy stories of our countries. I know maybe hopefully Stephanie Strange has some from El Salvador. I know I grew up with my mom telling me some creepy stories from El Salvador
awesome.
as well. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to chime in.
Oh, yes. And what age did you leave El Salvador?
We fled. I was the age of 3
Oh, okay.
when I came to the United States. I was really young.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice. All right, well, that's going to do it for tonight's show. And hopefully you guys, gained a little bit more knowledge about the different practices that Erika does and is involved in. Erika, do you want to give your social out to people?
Yeah, absolutely. You have any questions or want to chat about it, chat it up, you can definitely find me on Instagram as EVESBK, Eves BK.
Nice. And then also, like what Stephanie was saying, and it works, you got to get in those meetups. And, I think at this point, you can probably actually, host your own, in different Mayan cultures or paganism or, different things. You never told, before we leave, totally, I want to, ask you about this. Pop It. So did you create your Pop It or did someone create it for you and do you use it? Like real quick, what's up with that?
Actually, I took a secondary class to the Pop It, and what we actually took was a spirit doll.
Oh, okay.
And we had it being taught by an actual voodoo priestess.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, when you go to these classes and you learn, I know you were asking earlier, like, how do you know that you're going to the right person or that you're studying the right book or the information that's being given to you is legit?
Yeah.
Just do your research. If it feels right, go with it. If it's something that, the person feels off, then, you might want to take a step back and maybe find a different place or a different avenue or different recourse on where you obtain your information. But I actually have a spirit doll, so I don't have the Pop It.
Oh, okay.
It was one advanced class up, and it's an actual spirit doll where we invoke a spirit into a doll, and she brought all of these different looking dolls from all over the place that she personally picked and chose into the class. And we all got to take a doll home and called a spirit into it, although I didn't finish that complete ritual. I did not feel totally comfortable.
So that's what's been walking around your house. It hasn't found a home.
Exactly.
You might want to complete that.
Yes.
Well, again, thank you, Erika, for joining me on tonight's show.
Thank you so much for holding space for me today, Bobby. I truly, truly loved being on the show.
Oh, you are very welcomed, and I hope to have you back. And we are out.
Thank you.
Ethel, do you know where you are?
My body.
You have passed over. You've died.
No. Everything, my body, they took it. It's gone.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
We learned that for the past 8 years, military pilots frequently encountered unknown objects in controlled airspace off both the east and west coast across the continental United States in test and training areas and ranges. We don't know where they come from, who made them, or how they operate.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots to the west. Oh, thing, dude.
Cleveland County 911.
I don't know if I should have called this in or not, but
What's going on?
if I'd had my camera, I'd take a picture of it.
Take a picture of who?
I don't know what it was. He's walking upright like a man. I would not kill it because I was afraid to. But he went back up the mountain.
Cleveland Cleveland County 911.
Hello.
Can I help you?
Yes. This is Tim.
Uh-huh.
You probably have my address.
Yes, sir. What's going on now?
I shined the light on this thing.
Okay, what did it look like?
It looked like a giant ape with a man's face. But I was afraid to kill it. And it made a whistling sound. He was about 9-10 foot tall with real long arms. I go out there, he gets gone. Now I come back in the house, and he gets back there again, and my dogs are just raising heck. Would I get in any trouble if I shot and killed this beast, this animal, or whatever it is? Would I get in any trouble?
I can't answer that question.
If he goes too close to me, I won't kill him.